At the start of the movie, Father Brennan arrives at a church undergoing renovation, where he meets Father Harris. Harris hands him a photograph of a baby with the name Shanna inscribed on it. Brennan remarks that the child looks remarkably human, to which Harris cryptically responds,
"Let yourself be fooled. She wasn't conceived naturally."
Brennan recalls disturbing flashbacks, visions of a naked woman surrounded by a mysterious group of nuns performing rituals. Suddenly, a scream erupts from her abdomen, snapping Father Brennan back to reality. When he regains awareness, he realizes that Harris has vanished. Frantically searching for him outside, Brennan warns Harris that hiding won't absolve his sins. However, Harris insists that he doesn't seek forgiveness, he just wants everything to end. As he speaks, a glass panel shatters from above. Though Harris initially claims he's fine, Brennan is horrified to see that a pole has split his skull open. Despite his fatal injury, Harris eerily smiles before dying. In Rome, 1971, American novitiate Margaret arrives at the airport, where she is met by Cardinal Lawrence. On the way to the Vizzardelli orphanage, the cardinal mentions the rising protests against authority, including the church. Upon arrival, Margaret meets the orphaned girls living there, including Carlita, a peculiar child with an unsettling presence. Her behavior is odd, she isolates herself, experiences disturbing visions. Staring at Margaret, Carlita approached her and licked her face. Margaret befriends her rebellious roommate, Luz, who secretly sneaks out at night to attend parties. One night, she convinces Margaret to join her.
"Oh my God, you look hot."
At the club, Margaret drinks for the first time and dances with a boy. Under the influence, she behaves strangely, mimicking Carlita's unsettling habit of licking people. The next morning, she wakes with no memory of the night before and an overwhelming sense of unease. Later, Father Brennan approaches Margaret and mentions the girl Shanna. He warns her to be extremely cautious, as dark forces will soon begin to surround her. He urges her to meet him that night so he can reveal the full truth. Meanwhile, Carlita is locked in the bad room after biting a nun. When Margaret questions Silva about this punishment, Silva coldly responds, "Because some girls are bad." Margaret begins to empathize with Carlita, sharing that she once felt lost and confused, just like her. However, their conversation is interrupted by the agonizing screams of a pregnant woman. Margaret rushes to help, only to witness a demonic hand emerging from the woman's body, causing her to faint. Later, Margaret sees Carlita with Sister Angelica, who reveals another unsettling drawing, this time of a restrained pregnant woman. Angelica cryptically points to a part of the image, claiming, it's hers, and that it represents a boy. When Margaret dismisses the drawing as inappropriate, Angelica becomes furious and suddenly kisses Margaret before storming off. Moments later, Angelica appears on a balcony, eerily declaring, "It's all for you," before setting herself on fire and leaping to her death. That night, Margaret meets Brennan and learns of a radical sect within the church that seeks to summon the Antichrist to restore religious authority through fear. Brennan believes Carlita may be the mother of the Antichrist, born on the 6th day of the 6th month at 6 a.m., marked by the number 666. He asks Margaret to retrieve Carlita's orphanage records to confirm this. However, Margaret refuses, unconvinced by his claims. Determined to uncover the truth, Margaret searches the orphanage records and discovers a disturbing pattern: 14 girls, all born on June 6 at exactly 6 a.m., bearing the mark of the beast, 666. Most of them are dead, except for Carlita. Margaret and Carlita attempt to escape with the evidence but are captured by the nuns and locked in the bad room. In a moment of terror, Margaret sees the 666 mark inside Carlita's mouth, confirming her worst fears. In the bad room, she uncovers hidden drawings depicting women forced to give birth to demonic offspring. As she processes the gruesome revelation, the ghost of Angelica approaches her. Just then, Gabriel, a fellow novitiate, arrives and helps her escape. Margaret, Gabriel, and Brennan piece together the final puzzle. Margaret was impregnated during her blackout at the disco. She is carrying the Antichrist. As they attempt to flee, a sudden car crash kills everyone except Margaret. Writhing in pain, she realizes her pregnancy is accelerating unnaturally. She wakes up strapped to a hospital bed, greeted by Cardinal Lawrence. He tells her that her child will redeem the church and lead humanity back to God. She is then taken to give birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The boy is immediately taken by the church, while Silva briefly allows Margaret to hold him, only for her to stab Lawrence in the neck. However, she cannot bring herself to harm her own son. Luz fatally stabs Margaret, and the church members flee with the boy, leaving her and the newborn girl behind. Carlita rescues Margaret and her daughter from the burning hospital. Meanwhile, the baby boy is secretly given to American diplomat Robert Thorne to replace his stillborn son. Years later, Margaret lives in seclusion with Carlita and her daughter. Their peace is shattered when Brennan appears, warning her that the church knows she is alive and will come for them. Before leaving, he reveals,
"They've even given it a name. Your son, Damien."